Hello and welcome to Rapacious Reads. I'm Rebecca. So finally, after months and months of hyping this book, I'm finally going to talk about Karyotype by Trainor. And this book is so important and special to me because this is the kind of poetry I would write if I wrote poetry. And I think what it comes down to is the author. This is the author. Trainor began writing poetry in the spring of 2009, so she's fairly young. Over the years, she has worked at a campus radio station, the Department of Fisheries and Oceans, a biomedical library, and is currently a sessional lecturer at UBC. She's a librarian! She's a librarian, guys! Okay, so I find she definitely has more of an archival slant, and I really think that a lot of people from my program, especially in the archival stream, would find this poetry really resonates with them and the way they think about the world and the way they look at their collections. Okay. Oh my gosh. Okay. So let's talk about how the book of poetry is arranged. So there's 4 main sections. The first section is the Karyotype, which is my personal favorite section. The second section is it's kind of like an archival section. It's very fragmented. The third section is what I would call an archaeological section. And then the final section is another archival section, but it's more specific. Okay, so the first section is the Karyotype. So it's 23 short poems that are arranged like the human chromosome or the human genome. And okay, so I thought it was really cool that poem number 23 is 2 pages long. So that makes it the longest poem, just like the human sex chromosome is the largest human chromosome. So I did find that the sizes, it started out very large and then it went really, really, really small. So I thought it was arranged pretty closely to the human genome, which I appreciated. These poems are kind of about her personal experience because it's her personal karyotype. So it talks about motherhood, it talks about the weave and the warp of life. It uses a lot of thread imagery. And to me, it kind of made me reflect back on the way the Greeks viewed thread. So they talk about the thread of your life and the fates controlling the thread and weaving the threads together to create life. But you yourself are made up of multiple threads, and those threads are your DNA. So I just like how far she was able to take that metaphor. So she talks about motherhood. She talks about being, time holds me bound, fettered to my young son. So that sort of feeling of being trapped a little. And then she uses these biological metaphors. She says that I am translated. But really that's a biological metaphor that talks about RNA being turned into protein. She says that the sound washes over me until I'm ossicles of sound. But ossicles are the bones in the inner ear. So she's literally become just her ear. But the way that's phrased, till I am ossicles of sound, sounds like sort of like a wave mechanic. I love those poems. So then when I got to the second section, I was extremely disappointed because it's very fragmented and it's a lot of source material attributed to from the diary of, and it's all from history. There's some Holocaust writings, there's some random Greek attributions, spilt blood of Adonis, but I think it's organized through time, which I think the people in my program would appreciate, but I just found it a little too fragmented to appreciate, but I'm sure other people would. So the next part is what I would call the archaeological section. And it's the section most similar to the poems in the Karyotype. But we acknowledge science in these sections. There's a poem about creating the blots for the Karyotype. She translates the original poem that we have found written Tocharian. And she talks about the beauty of Lulan. The beauty of Lulan, which is this woman on the cover. She's approximately 40 years old, and she was found in a grave in northern China, I believe. So she talks about these people, and then there's a few poems about a small child in a grave, and just her cradling this corpse and like thinking about how lovingly he was draped and buried. So it was emotional. I love those poems. And then we finish off the book with the fourth section called Nothing is Lost, which is sort of a list of items found in the Book of Life, which is a book describing found items found in Bosnia-Herzegovina collected during the Balkans War, where these people are presumed dead, and we don't have biological records of them. So we're saying that they've been found if we have found their items, and a lot of the times family will go through it and see if they can identify a lost relative through this book. So it ends on a little bit of a somber note. So that's everything I have to say about Karyotype. It's my favorite collection of poetry so far. So thanks.